How did he do it? In 1896, Canada's Klondike discovered gold mines. And then the news exploded across the United States. 100,000 gold prospectors flocked to Alaska, and it must pass through the throat of Skagway. This is the deadliest throat of the Klondike Gold Rush. The throat of the throat. More than 20,000 gold prospectors pass through this place every year, each carrying 500. This is the annual income of ordinary Americans at that time. It is known as the Mobile Vault. But this rich land is a completely extrajudicial place. It is 800 miles away from the nearest US bailiff. There are no courts, no federal laws, and no official governance system. It is the largest and most unattended floating wealth on the entire North American continent. The protagonist of this issue is named Jefferson Randolph Smith II. Born in 1860 in Covina County, Georgia, quietly developed a set of deceptive skills that accurately grasp human nature. At the age of 25, he moved to Denver and started his own gray fortune. In 1881, Smith created a unique set of scams in Denver that not only allowed him to harvest soap, but also became the cornerstone of his future business and criminal empire. He set up wooden boxes on street corners in the city center, displaying a pile of affordable ordinary soaps, wrapping them in paper one by one in public, deliberately stuffing $1, $5, $10, $20 in bills, and even occasionally putting in a $100 bill. This money was equivalent to the salary of an ordinary worker for 4 months at the time, which was very tempting. Then he mixed all the soaps. He announced to the crowd that he could buy a random piece for only $5. At first, the crowd watched until his cousin came forward to buy it, opened the package, and held up a $100 bill, cheering in public, and instantly ignited the atmosphere of the audience. The crowd completely lost control and flocked to buy it. At sunset, all the soap was sold out, and the onlookers had no way of knowing. There were only a few small bills in the township, which were used as bait. The rest were all ordinary soaps. Everyone paid a high price to pay for it, and eventually became a lamb to be slaughtered. During the next 15 years, Smith took this set of core deceptions and wandered around the Rocky Mountains mining towns of Denver, Lyde, and Wilfred with more than a dozen other tricks. He gradually gathered his manpower and formed a core gang of 30 people. He was deep in the underground survival rules and bribed all year round. The local police force, even if they were charged with murder 3 times, were able to escape safely. In 1896, Denver launched urban rectification, and the new mayor forcefully expelled the Gray Forces, leaving Smith with no living space to disappear. Just as he had nowhere to go, a key word sweeping the United States broke into view: Klondike. In October 1897, Smith also took advantage of the trend and went north to Skagway. But his goal was never the deep mountain gold mines, but the gold prospectors themselves. In the summer of 1897, Skagway was just a few scattered wooden houses on the mud beach, and no one cared about it. In just a few months, it had completed savage growth. In December, tens of thousands of residents gathered, and 125 businesses emerged. By the spring of 1898, it had become the largest city in Alaska. And more importantly, this land had absolute power vacuum. No civil government for a long time. No courts, no nearby law enforcement force. The nearest federal agency is far away in Hitka, 600 miles by boat, and there is no telegraph communication. The garrison of Fort St. Michael is 800 miles away. Tens of thousands of men who carry heavy money and are out of social order and have no family constraints gather here, creating an excellent barbaric wealth depression. Smith quickly established 3 major profit systems within 3 months after landing and took control of the city step by step. The first step was to monopolize information and public opinion. He established Skagway Telegraph Company, claiming that the direct line to the United States was not connected. It was a pure fake telegraph office, providing family service on behalf of family members, charging $5 apiece, which is equivalent to today's $200 purchasing power. It can be called a sky-high price. He also made up his wife's reply and forged a loved one's critical illness telegram asking to send money back, specifically cheating private gold prospectors, earning thousands of dollars a day. The second step to control the economy and entertainment, opening 7 taverns, monopolizing alcohol, gambling and prostitution. All gold prospectors must spend, cash flow continues, and 300 armed gangs have been formed, indicating that maintaining order is actually used to adjudicate disputes, collect protection fees, and suppress competitors. The third political coronation controls the mayor and the church. Due to the increase in the population of the town, the miners established their own town committees and engaged in local self-government. Smith supported puppet candidates, bribed voters, and forged votes to threaten opponents to easily be elected mayor. In May 1898, Washington received a report and sent Treasury agents to investigate. However, after the agents arrived in Skagway, they were quickly coaxed by Smith and bought with a lot of money in just 4 days. He gave up the investigation, returned to Washington, submitted a false report that everything was fine, and the official was completely reduced to his umbrella company. According to the statistics of Smith's ministry era, in the spring of 1898, he circulated funds as high as $10,000 per week, equivalent to about $15 million in modern annual income. He never set foot in a mine, never crossed a mountain pass in the wind and snow, never endured the pain of severe cold and drowning, but harvested countless gold prospectors with their lives in exchange for the wealth. It only took 9 months. The whole process, 20,000 people, everyone depended on him, feared him, and obeyed him. He was the uncrowned king until July 7th, 1898. Gold prospector John Douglas Stewart returned home. He survived the cold winter of Jade Sky, saved a bag weighing 5 pounds. The gold dust, worth $2,700 at the time, was all his hard work. As soon as he stepped into Skagway, Stewart was targeted by 3 of Smith's subordinates. Several people pretended to chat, invited him to drink, and then played a small game of 3 cards with him. The whole process was gentle and friendly, and there was no malice. But in an instant, the game was passive. The gold dust belt he had worked hard to save was defrauded on the spot and looted. During the 9 months that Smith took control of Skagway, most of the victims of the gold prospectors swallowed their mouths and admitted that they were unlucky. But Stewart made a resistance that no one dared to do. He went straight to the ship terminal, gathered a group of gold prospectors waiting to return, cried in public, showed his empty bags, and exposed the scams and evil deeds of Smith's gang. That night, the people spontaneously Sylvester Hall rally. The number of people quickly soared from 100 to more than 500 people. The hall could not accommodate the surging crowd, and the rally was immediately transferred to the open Juneau Company pier. This was the first time in 9 months that the people of Skagway had spontaneously assembled and rebelled. There was no member of Smith's party at the scene. Hearing the news of the public rally, Smith had a premonition that something was wrong. He took down the Winchester rifle in his tavern, prepared the Colt revolver, drank a glass of whiskey, and resolutely took to the streets, ready to suppress the sudden resistance by force. At 9 p.m. on July 8th, a heavy wooden door blocked the entrance to the pier. Chumu engineer Frank Reed was armed with a gun to help, and the people gathered in front of the door were guarded. The two confronted and argued at close range. After the verbal exchange was fruitless, within 2 seconds, shooting at the same time, the whole process was less than 4 seconds. The dust settled. Smith's heart burden collapsed on the spot. The pier leader was seriously injured in the leg of the retro hook, and he died of his injuries 12 days later. This gun battle completely shattered the Grey Empire that Smith had spent 9 months to build. The next morning, the Real Citizens Public Security Committee quickly assembled. 300 people checked the whole process. Thunder liquidated, arrested Smith gang members one by one, seized the tavern, confiscated the account officer's court, false telegraph office, and completely destroyed its underground law enforcement agency. The core leader was forcibly escorted to abandon the ship and sent to Hitka for federal trial. The remnants of the henchmen fled and met with failure. Within 72 hours after Smith's death, the criminal empire that dominated Skagway collapsed and disappeared. The federal government officially took over the place in 1900, connected to the land telegraph in 1901, and established in 1903 the federal court. The wilderness finally ushered in the formal rule of law. Years passed to 1910, Skagway transformed into a stable small port town. Now there are only more than 800 permanent residents. Most of the buildings 100 years ago are intact. The content of this issue is here. We will see you next time.